Welcome back to another episode of Wisdom in the Room. I'm your host, Matthew Gibson, and today I'm here with two of my great friends, Josh and Hilery Covington. We are live from that living room, beautiful living room at that.
Thank you.
All right, and I just want to tell you guys thank you first and foremost. All right, this is my last night here with y'all. I came to Colorado on Wednesday. Came here on Wednesday. Cov picked me up from the airport, and it was like 20 minutes for me to get to the car because I was two different spots, but it was just love from the jump. And I love it in Colorado. I love these two, and I just want to tell y'all thank you for allowing me to stay with you. Thank you for allowing me to be here in your home, and thank you for just a great experience, first and foremost. And I've enjoyed my experience here.
It's been a pleasure. I mean, thank you for even coming out, because you know we love you, and having your company has been very special.
The kids love you.
The kids love you. It's been nothing but love there, since you got here, man. So
nothing but love.
We thank you for even wanting to come out and visit us, man. It's been great.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Like for me, this is an opportunity for me to reflect, like I said, rest, and just enjoy time with people. Like I think throughout the year, especially this year, pandemic, all that, we've been kind of secluded, and even this is a risk, right? Still had to get COVID tests when I came out here, and it's like just to be able to, at the end of your year, to enjoy your people, to reflect on the things that I've learned about myself in this year, and just to be in the beauty that is Colorado, just the natural beauty. It's refreshing, and it's like I'm looking forward to the other stops along the way, but this is a great way. If this is a precursor of what's to come, I'm grateful.
Right.
So thank you.
Nice.
So that was just a great intro to say thank you. It's my way of saying thank you, and I love y'all. I appreciate you.
It's our pleasure, man.
But before we get started, just let y'all introduce yourselves, all right? And then we'll get into the deeper question of introducing yourself. But I want you to just tell the people who you are. Just tell the people where you, let's do it.
All right.
Tell the people who you are, your name, and where you're from, and then one unique thing about you. One unique thing. You may throw a curveball.
Okay. Well, my name is Hilery Covington.
I'm Joshua Covington.
And we are
the Covingtons.
He wanted us to do that. Yes, so I'm Hilery Covington. I'm from Denver, Colorado originally. And one interesting fact about me, I took ice skating lessons growing up.
I'm afraid to ice skate. I did it one time and I'll never do it again. Ever.
You gotta give
it's
it
like a torn ACL waiting to happen.
Will you do roller skating?
Never. Again. I'm good. My kids can go. I'm gonna watch you. Roll bounce, baby girl. See.
Well, I'm once again Joshua Covington. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Queen City 704 represent. 704. And one unique thing about me, I guess it's the fact that I'm a software engineer. Right? Like, everybody who knows me is like, what the heck? You a what? You know what I'm saying? So that's like real a unique space that I'm in right now.
Yeah, you're just growing in it.
Yeah, it's growing in it heavily.
Yeah.
So
that's what you do. All right, let's just go ahead and hop into the deep questions. That just made boop, beep. All right, then we're gonna bounce back.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna hop into the deep, then we're gonna hop out the deep. All right. Sidebar, complete sidebar. When I was young, you know how I learned to swim? They took us to 12 feet and threw us in the water.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
And they was like, "Hey, you gonna learn how to swim?
That's tradition.
Drown and swim."
That's what needs to happen.
No, I took lessons.
I took lessons with my sister, but then like when I got to daycare, I still wasn't a strong swimmer.
Yeah.
They threw us in the 12 feet. It's like, all right, you either going home or you're not.
Yo,
Can't do
my
that.
mom would be like, "Don't embarrass me, boy. You better kick and swim. You better kick and swim."
You can swim.
She be like, "If you can't swim, work your butt back over to these stairs." So I heard, I'm like, I see the stairs, and I'm like,
Kick and swim. All right. So, all right, the next question I want to ask y'all is this. All right, it has to kind of deal with identity and, you know, how you express yourself, right? So, like for me, I was telling y'all this the other day of like, I've learned a lot about myself after playing the game. If you would have asked me anytime I was playing football from high school to college through professional, like, Matthew, who are you? I would have been like, I'm a football player, right? Neglecting all the other things about me because really football was the one thing I cultivated the most. And so my identity was ingrained. It was ingrained into my identity that I was a football player. And so what I've realized is that like your identity and what you do are separate, right? But what you do can help express who you are. And right, even if you're doing something that you don't want to do in the moment, you can still find ways to express who you are to connect with purpose.
okay.
And so like, I guess the question that I have for you all is, boom, who are you? No, how do you express yourself in the things that you do, from your career to your hobbies to your lifestyle? And you know, how does that manifest itself in your life right now?
You want to go first on that one? Or you want me to go first?
You go first.
Okay. Well, first off, like I like to identify as a husband and a father, right? A black husband and a father that's here for my family and that's taking care of my family. I think that sticks with me the most, right? And it helps me really identify who I am. And you know, along with that, you got like personalities and hobbies and whatnot. But because growing up in the family dynamic that I grew up in, I just take that, you know, more seriously as far as who I am as a person and how do I express myself. So, you know, having that proud fatherhood and being a proud husband, it helps me also care for others in a lot of things. So those are the two, you know, first things that I want to throw out. And then also another way I express myself is just having a big heart, I guess. You know, I love team aspect because I mean, you and I come from similar backgrounds, right? Like we identified as football players heavily, and that's literally all we did. You know, for me, that was like kept me out of trouble, kept me in school, the whole nine. But now that football was over with, I had to like try to figure out, like, man, I'm not just a football player anymore. But that team aspect stuck with me. So leadership aspect, and like I like working as a team. I like, you know, coaching up others, whether it's, you know, life or whether it's, you know, there's people who are like, hey, can you help me write something, or you know, can you help me prepare for something that's like this or that, you know,
being helpful.
Being helpful. So like even when we were playing, I used to, I mean, granted I wasn't the best out there, but when I saw like a mistake happening or something like that, I would like to just, try to go over and help them out. Like, hey man, if I were you, this is what I would like try to do. This might help you out a little bit, right? So there's that team aspect. And it relates back to me being a father, having a family, because like it's a team.
Right. No. You was talking about that the other day.
Right. It's a team thing, and seeing my little kids, getting a coach and help them, train them, and then let them do their thing. But then, like when a mistake is, when they make a mistake, or I can help them correct them on something. Then like I like to step in and help them out. It's like
Yeah, I can see that. Just like from observing.
Yeah.
Just from observing these last few days, y'all definitely work together as a team. Like you here, to the children, y'all work together well. And I was like, dang, that's cool. I like that. I noted that. That's like one of those notes and everything. Team together. But like, what you been doing software engineering, how do you feel like you can express yourself in software engineering right now?
Well, actually, there are people who have reached out to me, other than software engineering. Like I've done network engineering, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of black people in tech, right? So you got people like George, and then some of my homies that I grew up with back in Charlotte, even my cousin Nigel. Like they will call me and ask for advice on like, how do I get started? What type of resources can I like find? And I'm just sharing all the knowledge, showing them all the free resources that I use that people don't publicize, things that I pay for, like subscriptions. I don't mind giving out my credentials to that stuff so they can log on and utilize it, you know what I'm saying? Because it's already paid for, right? So, spread the knowledge, spread the wealth. So being in tech, other than being a software engineer, I really enjoy my brothers and sisters reaching out to me, asking for for advice and for helping me, them like having faith in me to like guide them. So
that's love.
Yeah,
that's love. What about you, Hilery?
I would say first, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and
dope as fuck.
Appreciate it. I try. But so I'm like a natural nurturer. And so because we have a 2-year-old and 4-year-old, that's my life 24/7. Nurturing them and guiding them, especially during COVID and homeschooling. So that's where my mindset is right now. But I think kind of starting to dabble into nurturing others in other ways. So like, some of my friends, helping them with their businesses, and family with businesses, and kind of just nurturing in, other ways beyond child rearing. So that's kind of where I'm at, the space I'm in right now.
And she's like, she is so humble, man. She is so humble, and she be like, she don't even brag for herself, because the amount of people that hit her up asking for like just anything regarding their business, right? She is there. But then there's another side of her.
Flip side.
There's a flip side of Hilery that people really don't know about. And when I'm gonna tell on you, because she gonna go to law school. All right, Hilery Covington coming to a Congress near you. I swear.
No, listen, not politics.
This woman, when I say she is heavy on ensuring that like our brothers and sisters are afforded the same opportunities, right, as everyone else, and that like we gotta understand our history and understand what is happening in this country, what has happened, right, what's going on right now. Like, huge advocate, and speaks up for when ish isn't right, right, and when people ain't keeping it real about redlining, right? How our schools are overpopulated, how our neighborhoods are overpoliced. Like, I tell you, she's gonna go to law school, right? We moving.
I got to now,
Yeah, we're moving back down
into existence.
We're moving back down to Denver. She's going to law school. And I kid you not, myself, her whole entire family would literally tell her she needs to go and be in Congress, because she'd be like what they call them, the four horsemen, right? With AOC and the rest of them. like she's that hardcore with it, bro. So, and that's one thing I love about her, man, because I know my kid's gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? Because she ain't gonna play that BS. So
they gonna know their stuff.
They gonna know their history, and they gonna know, you know, their rights. They gonna know.
You got to.
I mean, just
it's important.
Yeah.
So like I think too, like I know Hilery, you be putting me on game, but just like when it comes to stuff you post on Instagram, and I'm like, dang. I think one of the biggest things that you put me on game with was the maternal health for Black women.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. Like I knew, but I didn't really know in depth. But then you were posting things, and that was educating me.
Yeah.
And then like I know for a fact that you had 2 children already, so I'm like, you got firsthand experience. Yeah. So it's good to just listen. But I think of sometimes like, all right, so with you, I know like you're a woman who has a lot of talent, right? You got a lot of talent, but right now in this stage in your life, you are investing your time into your family. Some women would think of that like, because I think a lot of women in our generation are really progressive, and they break out of the norms of like gender roles and just like traditional things. What's that like for you? Because like you're raising a family, but you still have all this knowledge, you still have all this talent that you could easily be doing, Fortune 500 companies or whatever, or whatever it is that you want to do. Whatever that you want to do, you could be doing it. Yeah. But right now, at this time, in this season in your life, you're invested into your family. What are some of the challenges that come with knowing that, but also what helps you to stay grounded, to be like, all right, where I'm at is what I'm supposed to be doing right now?
Right. Man.
That's a good question.
I would say, you know, like you mentioned, like our generation, you know, it's like get to the bag, hustle, grind, like, you know, have several side hustles. And so being in that space, in that, you know, most of my friends, you know, are at Twitter, law school, you know, like doing their thing. And I'm super proud of them for that. Me, you know, when we got married and he was in the military at the time, I worked, but when we had Josh, it didn't even make sense. And that's a whole other, you know, area with military spouses and unemployment, things of that nature. But it didn't even make sense. And I think in that moment, like that's when God was really telling me, like, you got to focus.
Right.
And so we made the decision for me to stay at home and to be with him. And then soon after he deployed. And so it just kind of developed into me staying at home for longer than what we originally talked about.
Planned,
And so initially that was really hard because I'm like, but I have this degree I'm not using.
Right.
Like my friends, you know, are doing SFC. And then, of course, in the back of your mind, you're wondering about what people are thinking about you and how people are, you know, what they're saying. And it took me a while to really, and God working on me to get to the place where I was comfortable and okay with the place I'm in now. I mean, I know that eventually I will be able to go to law school. I'll be able to, you know, run my business and do all the things that I want to do. But this is what my family needs right now. And kudos to the women who can do it all, like who can go to school, who can, you know, have a full-time job, all those things. But that's not what my family needed from me the last few years. Like I needed to be hands-on, and, you know, like when he called me and said, hey, can you bring me this? Or, you know, can you do that? Can you help me study? Like, I don't even think I would have been a good employee half the time, because I'm one to, like, if this one calls, if my kids need something, peace. So, you know, since that's like the space that I'm in right now, you know, now I'm just like, I'll get there when I get there.
I would just like to piggyback on that, because like Fayetteville, being there at Fort Bragg, and, you know, just the horror stories, but you can physically see there's no way in hell I would have let my son be in any daycare in anywhere in that city.
They're not all terrible.
They ain't all. No, I'm speaking personally. Like, my wife can say one thing. Me personally, I'm like, my son, you're not watching my son. Like, so I was a huge part of, babe, hey, listen, there was one point in our life where you was out there grinding and I was playing ball and you was taking care of me. You know, had phone had a phone. I
understood,
mean,
yeah.
you know, make sure I had food in my little fridge in my dorm room. Like, she did that. I was like, it's my turn now.
Right.
All right. And we just had our son. You stay home, you relax, and you do whatever it is you want to do. Right now, just let me hustle, let me take care of us. And then when it's your time, like, boom, you'll be able to.
And then, you know, like having that trust and that support from him, you know, that's everything, because I needed that, like, to know, like, okay, he's not resenting me for not bringing home a check. He's not thinking, like, well, when is she gonna go get it? Like, it's never been that conversation. He's like, you know, you taking Junior to the zoo today? Like, what y'all doing? You know, like, it's just always been, you know, nothing but love and support. And so that's made it so much easier to be like, okay, this is what we're doing right now. It's not gonna be forever. But, you know, our kids are young, so
that constant communication is what probably helps.
Definitely
Communicating through this, like, your anxieties, his anxieties, and just putting it out there and working through it. And then, like, I think one of the things that I take away from what y'all was saying is sacrifice. It brings me back to what you said of that team effort, right? All great teams have to sacrifice something, right? So maybe a great player this like has to step down their role as a great player for right now, just to develop other areas so that the whole team can shine. And it's like everybody plays their role in certain times, and it's like boom, all right. Just like it would come a time where it's like it's you take the lead, you go pursue your thing, you know. But and it's like but it's all for the greater good. And like I think even in the season that you're in right now, Hilery, that like it's development that's happening. Like learning how to raise 2 children, like learning how to make sacrifices, still having to communicate are all areas that you have to have within like whatever business realm or whatever industry a person tries to pursue. And so being able to get that developed right now, and then I feel like you probably still the type of person that is doing research on something. And so like you sharpening that saw with knowing your knowledge, keeping it fresh in your mind, so that like there's no drop off of anything. There's a bonus when you go back, because you got experience in so much of life. And I think sometimes our generation can be quick to see the tradition that past generations had, like our grandparents. I don't want that no more. But I do think, like, I understand where it comes from, because especially like from the woman's perspective, it feels like it's marginalized. But like in some ways though, there is some value, because when I think about even my mom, of just like some of the values that were instilled in me because of how she was, or just like some of the values that were instilled in some of my friends because they had, you know, a parent that was present to like develop that. I think that you can't, those are some things you just can't discredit.
Yeah, I definitely, you know, being a millennial woman, like, you know, I have felt that pressure in the past. But you know, I do also enjoy the traditional side of things as well. And I'm not ashamed of that. And I just think every woman has to kind of decide like what's going to work for them and their family. And so right now, this is what's working for us. And I've gotten to the place where like I'm not really concerned with whether people are thinking about me, because no one should be. Because I mean, I'm not for everybody, and you know, so I'm just kind of chilling, and you know, we're doing our thing. And I think that the experience these last few years will definitely help me, you know, moving forward in a law career, and you know, just having children and going through the last 4 years, it gives me like another layer of empathy and patience, and just all the things that I think are needed to do the job that I want to do. So
our kids are young, they need their mother right now, you know what I'm saying? And there are plenty of mothers out there who would wish to be able to be home with their children, right? I mean, right now with this pandemic going on, there are women all over the world that are having to do that. They're making that choice. They have to stop working and be home with their kids to help homeschool. So, I mean, this just goes to show the resilience that Hilery has, right? Especially with all that going on and how society looks at certain things, and you know, patience. Like, man, when can I get started on my career? You know,
the delayed gratification.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly what I think of.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's it like being a millennial parent? Like, I see y'all sometimes. Like, I was watching y'all early this week. I was like, yo, we the same age. We the same age, but then I'm like thinking like, they got 2 little kids that they raising up, and I'm like, this is weird. But it's like,
it's
wild.
It's
wild.
lonely, man.
Is it?
Yeah, dude. Because I mean, think about it, man. People. I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I mean, from what I'm just seeing every day, just walking out the door, you just don't see people getting married anymore, man.
That's true.
You don't see people getting married anymore. You don't. You'll see.
in time.
In time. She's there. She's right around the corner. I know. Yeah, but I mean, dude, like people really aren't. People don't take marriage seriously anymore. People don't try to do things the right way. So, I mean, and when I say right way, the traditional way, I mean, there's
mean traditional, buddy.
Yeah, well, so God, and I'm talking about speaking from the Bible, right? God wants us to not have children out of wedlock, right?
Yeah,
so, but it happens, right? But when that happens, right, are you making an effort, right, to try to really learn who you're about to have a child with, and like, hey, like, about to have a kid together, they need their parents, right? But you need both of them together, right? And they need to see that. And a lot of people are like, no, I don't want that. I want to continue doing things my way, which, I mean, to each his own, right? But you just, as a millennial, that's just how it is.
No, I feel like in that regard, like, if I was to speak on that, I think like what ends up happening sometimes is like people connect with somebody that they may be physically attracted to.
Okay.
You lay down with somebody and you get down a few times and then oops, you're having a baby, and then you start to realize like, dang, this was not the person I wanted to be with.
Yeah.
And that, I think sometimes a lot is what you see. It's like,
right,
we connected physically, sexually, but like outside of that, like, dang, I don't know if I really wanted to have kids with you guys are pretty babies, right? Right. But like, we're not compatible. Yeah. Which leads to this.
And that's reality, right? And that's I'm just saying that's happening. I feel like that's happening more now than in the old days, right? Because in the old days, when you had kids together, 9 times out of 10, we're gonna get married and we're gonna suffer through this marriage.
Suffer through it.
And that's
a whole story. Because like, it's like,
I see my grandparents. I see my grandparents.
That's a whole nother.
I haven't even seen my grandparents hug and kiss each other. I'm just saying. But I mean, no, it's
real.
Well, I'm gonna take it like a slightly different track with the millennial parenting because we've had this conversation often. Like, so when we had, Joshua, we were 22.
22.
Dang, that's young.
Yeah. So like when we were in that phase of life, most of our friends were like just getting out of college, like figuring out what they were doing. And so then when we had Jay, we were 24, 25.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. A little bit wiser.
Yeah, a little bit wiser.
And so, like, it's great now, like not all, a lot of our friends now are just entering this stage of life, so it's awesome to see that and for them to reach out to us and say like, hey, what, yeah, so we love that and we're excited.
It's funny, man. It's funny.
Yeah, we're excited, but then on the other hand, it's interesting, like, raising children in 2020 and then, like, of course we're blessed to have our parents and grandparents still around. Yeah. But the way they raised us in the 90s is
totally different.
Like,
totally different.
We're over here talking about COVID and, vaccine safety and just all these different things that we're not really.
I mean, you can take 2020 out of the question and just think, more on like the discipline aspect, right?
Yeah.
Like
gentle parenting.
Yes.
Discipline.
Yes, that's what I see when y'all too. It's like, I think Cove, you said it the other day, it's like, man, I talk to them like they're adults. And that's real. I talk to my students like little K-5 kids, like they adults, because we grew up in a time where children were to be seen and not heard. Yeah. Right? And like, if you was to ask why, that's seen as being rude, but in reality, it's a little kid just inquiring why. Right? You wouldn't tell another adult like, because I said so. Yeah. Nah, you would be like, you would explain to them, but like, I recognize that in y'all, of how y'all talk to your children, and just like, just giving them.
It's like a daily. It's challenging because I was raised closer to the gentle parenting side. We weren't all the way there, but we were pretty close on this side. And Josh was on the opposite side. So, but we still have to kind of push back on that, how we were raised when we're looking at them. And sometimes you hear your mother come out of your mouth and it's like, because I told you so, or because,
I said it today. I told Junior that today when he kept asking you why, and I was like,
and I'm like,
said so.
But he, so it's a process to kind of like, continuously remind yourself, like, okay, he's asking, even if it's for the 60th time, like, his mind is not, it's not fully developed. You're not fully developed until you're in your 20s. Yeah. So, we really try to make that effort.
You do be asking the same question 20 times.
Can't ask me like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, yep. Every time I hear
the Legos. I mean, even when Jay did what she did earlier today, I had to sit her down and
let her know. That's what I appreciate about that. I saw that though, like the way that, like, even you sitting there in timeout. Yeah. It's not like you go sit in timeout and just go, but you sit there in timeout. You explain to her what's happening. Yeah, basically you're helping her to emotionally process. So like, what is it? Like, what is happening is that when she gets to 12 years old, 15 years old, she's gonna be able to emotionally process these things within herself. Like, she's gonna be able to regulate her emotions better because y'all help guide her in that way. And that's like, in my mind, like recognizing that, like, all right, I see that in certain children who have that, and then I also see children who don't have that. Yeah. And that's so important. Like, I guess that I feel like in a lot of ways, the millennial parent is that parent that is like, is quote unquote softer or more like understanding, empathetic.
We're
to their
more
children.
Cognizant of mental health, and that definitely plays a huge part. And I don't think it's a matter. I mean, people when they hear gentle parenting or
gentle parenting,
that's like the trendy term, but it's meant to describe parenting like
as soft, or not even soft, just having no backbone, or not putting their foot down.
It's still discipline.
It's still discipline there.
Sure, but it's not like this harsh. Not giving children any window for any,
because I don't have to pull my belt out and to prove my point to Junior. I can literally look at him and just have a conversation with him, and that boy feels terrible about whatever he just did, right? And I'm like, better, and after that, all right, cool. And then next thing you know, 5 minutes later, we playing, right?
It's not about having your child be afraid of you.
Yeah.
And not wanting to, like, control.
Right. Control.
Them. Yeah, because, they're independent beings.
Yes.
And, I wouldn't want him, like, if, I'm doing something wrong, he better not come at me like, crazy. But, I don't want to be that same from, the kids. And so I'm not gonna lie, like, it is challenging. There are times where, like, that blood pressure is up there and you're just like,
oh gosh, go to sleep.
But
Where's the NyQuil? Is that legal?
Where is the NyQuil? Nah, that's real though.
Yeah, like, we try.
That's real. So, like, let's think about this. All right, 2020, we know there's been a crazy year.
Yeah.
It's been it's different. January and February started off, okay.
Right.
Then March
it was like,
sit your behind at home.
Yeah.
All right, so, like, let's say, like, you having a conversation with somebody in the years 2030. How would you describe 2020 in 3 words?
Ooh.
If you had to describe 2020 in 3 words, we could do popcorn though. So, like, you could be like, you say a word, you say a word, and I say a word. Then we run it back.
Let's do that. That's all right.
Okay.
Y'all want me to go first?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I wasn't prepared for this. All right, no. All right, so I would say my first word would be, for me personally, I would say 2020 has been a year of acceptance.
Acceptance.
Yeah, I think I said that in the previous podcast, but I'll say it again, probably a little bit more depth. For me, it's been a year of acceptance of myself, learning who I am, the shadow, the light, all that. But also just accepting that and not trying to suppress certain parts that I don't like about myself or trying to shift an image so that I can feel accepted, but just showing up as myself and accepting all of me, all my insecurities, all flaws, quote unquote flaws, and just being me. And so this year has been a time where I've had to sit down and I recognize the good things that I haven't even just been acknowledging, but also recognizing that, this is a shadow about you, and it's like you can either try to run from it and act like it doesn't exist, or you can see it as what it is, embrace it, and know that this is a duality to you as well. So it's like, bro, don't run from that. Just know that about yourself so that you can move forward in the right way.
Right.
So acceptance would be probably one of my words.
One of my words, I like that, acceptance. One of my words is it was a knowledgeable year for me. Right. I learned so much, but not in the way that you think. Right. Yeah. So with the stuff that's going on in society, right? Especially not trying to get political, but with who we got in office, right? It's giving people more free will or more power to come out and be their true selves, right? So me sitting back and watching how people react to certain things, right? Thinking that, man, you would think that there was more, just more love and compassion out of people, right? And then now you're starting to realize even more about the world you live in, right? And the world you got to bring your kids up in, right? So when I say knowledgeable year, it's been a knowledgeable year for me to be able to hone in everything that's been going on, understand it, and then now, okay, my kids got to be raised in the world like this. How can I prepare them for the realities they're going to get hit with when they get older? Yeah. That's been heavy on my heart this entire year. So,
I got a question. I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I would say it's been a purposeful year, like really being purposeful in our habits, being purposeful in my thoughts day to day, just being purposeful, like allowing God to kind of reveal a little bit more about my purpose individually, our purpose as a family. We've been able to really have some deep conversations because we're quarantined, like we're here. He was working remotely for a long period of time, so I would say I think God has used this year for us to really show us what his purpose is for us and moving forward. And
I love it. I love that. So we won't do 6 in total. Okay. We'll just do our 3s. All right. Okay. So if we was having a conversation with somebody 10 years from now, we had acceptance, we had knowledgeable, we had purposeful. I love all 3 of those.
Yeah.
All right. 3. Hilery, you said something. I'm gonna just piggyback on that. And it made me think about it because I remember when the quarantine first started, there were so many different things coming out. The world was moving so fast, and we can get distracted day to day. That honestly, couples don't really spend that much time together. Maybe on the weekend because we work Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend, babe, you want to go to the brewery down the street, or babe, you want to take the kids to the park? That's the time everybody spend time with the family. But now during quarantine, you really got to sit your behind in the house with that person that you said to death do us part with.
Yeah.
How has that been? If we can unpack that a little bit more. Yeah. How has it been during quarantine with your husband and wife?
Man, for me, it's been like, I don't know, like clockwork, to be honest, because Hilery and I talked about early in our marriage, we set time apart to speak to each other or spend time with each other, right? Yeah. So before we go to sleep, we have that. I mean, not having kids, right? We got to get them down for bed, but
I do that a good job,
right? That's all Hilery right there, setting up that routine. But the fact that we set that time apart before we go to sleep, and we sit there and we talk, right? I mean, about anything, and I mean, hell, even when I'm at work, Like I told you this before.
Yeah, he's like,
it's therapeutic. I just call my wife just to talk to her, right,
Yeah.
or text her. It's like because she's the person I talk to every day. So, just the fact that Hilery brought that on me, she was like, "Listen, like we need to start setting time for each other. We're not gonna just be doing this throughout the week and then weekends, you know,
it's like
figuring out how was your week. You know what I'm saying? Like,
a lot happens in a week.
A lot happens in a week. So yeah, it's been clockwork, man. If anything, it's been eventful. It's been wonderful, right? Because it's like, heck yeah, I like spending time. I'm a homebody anyway, so I like spending time with my family.
So yeah, like being able to put like what y'all already had planned into practice.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. Like I was thinking about this. I was like, you know, I'm single, so I'm like, for me, I love my space. I love me some me time. And like, I feel like the woman that I decide to marry one day, she's going to have to understand that there's going to be probably once a month, I'm going to need about 12 hours of me time. Baby girl, I don't need to hear from you. Just know I'm safe and I'm going to check in you. But that could be hard for some people. But then like, I was just like, man, if I was in quarantine with somebody, how would that have been? You know? I mean, at times, you know, things get long. You're like, dang, I wish I had somebody to chill with.
yeah.
But at the same time, to really have, like, I feel like you really get to know somebody even more. But like what y'all was saying, it was that ability to put into practice the things that y'all already set up for him, which is beautiful. Which is really freaking beautiful. And
Everybody need their space, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do.
We
we need our space too.
hey,
Like
Hilery, oh man, tell him, boo.
Go ahead,
I
let
mean,
her know.
yeah, we definitely need our space. It's a little more tricky, you know, with kids and COVID. But you know, like there'll be nights where okay, like we game, you know. Get a game plan, like, okay, let's get the kids down by this time. You go play the game, chill. I'm gonna be in this room, like, you know, just
Do your thing, boo.
right. See you know. So like, you know, we do separate time, but I think
Even as a family, you know how like we would go visit, right, or we go out somewhere, and it's like we are just not stay at somebody's spot type family for a long time.
Okay.
Like we can do 1 or 2 days and then we out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do just half of that day and then we out because we just want to be in our space. Right?
Yeah, we're very comfortable at home, and I think kind of piggybacking on the communication and like we are in constant communication. So for other couples that might be annoying, but for us, like we were long distance for a long period of time. Then he was deployed for a long. Like we got used to commute. Like the phone was, you know, our only way of communicating for a very long time. So then when we are together, we like really cherish that time because we spent a lot of time apart, and it was like, you know, weeks of doing solo parenting when he was in the field, or you know, there'd be just, you know, something going on. And so yeah, we really just enjoy being at home and communicating.
I get that though. I think like sometimes I be thinking like long distance, I think I might operate best in long distance relationships at times. Especially like if it was started with a connection and then it happened to just end up being long distance, right? Somebody moved, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think you're right. When you have that long distance community and relationship, and it's not for everybody, but like it allows communication to develop. You get to actually talk. You get to know somebody. But like, I feel like sometimes when it's a relationship where y'all right there, a lot of times it can get caught up in the physical aspect of it. You might cross that line too soon, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what the whole relationship is built off of, versus like conversation and understanding each other, right? And lines can get blurred. But I think it's cool though. So it makes sense of how like this quarantine for y'all was just essentially just like boom.
I think like that first, you know, after the shock wore off, that like the world was shutting down, we were kind of like, oh, okay, well,
all right,
this is what we was already doing.
Right.
It didn't really change too much for us day to day. So.
And y'all both homebodies too, right? So that works. That does work. All right, so in conjunction with that, all right, how have you maintained your mental health? So it kind of can go to that grounded, that question I was going to ask you, like how do you keep yourself grounded? But I want to kind of tell you more specifically to like, how have you maintained your mental health during this year?
Well, the first one.
Well,
Okay. I'm gonna be honest.
Yes, ma'am.
I haven't done the best job.
That's real. That's real. You're
I
not
think.
alone.
What was that?
You're not alone in that.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't think I've done the best job of maintaining my mental health. And so I have an appointment next week to meet with a therapist and just be able to, talk, lay it out there.
It's dope.
So yeah, I mean, that's what I feel I need to do. And so.
That's dope.
yeah, I mean, I meet with a psychiatrist once a month, for medicine management, and I meet with a psychologist every 2 weeks. And I mean, other than those two, I mean, that's what's been real difficult, right?
Yeah.
It's like finding a person that you really can connect with, that understands you, right? And that can help you guide through stuff. Because if you don't find a person that can really help you through whatever, circumstance you got going on with you, it'll seem like, they're just in it for the money, right?
They're just counting down.
They're just counting down.
Coming to the end of our session.
Oh, so tell me how you feel. I think I've already told you this, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, heck, it's been rough, but not brown nosing, man. Like my wife talking, like I just talking, right? Just letting her know exactly what's going on with me, how I'm feeling. Why am I feeling that way? And if I don't even know, sometimes you just don't know, right? Sometimes you feel a certain way, you honestly don't know. But the fact that she can understand that, and she hears me, right? And she just listens, and I know that she's there listening.
For sure.
That helps a lot. And then her family is, man, I love her family so much.
Keeps you grounded.
It keeps me, like, her mom and her father, man, it's, I love my mom. Trust me, my mom did everything she could for me, right? But I am just very grateful, and I'm thankful to God that I have her parents to also lean on and talk to, because they're lovable, and they've been accepting me since day one, even at my worst, So, period.
Nah, bro. So one of the reasons I started this podcast is two. One, just because y'all used to encourage me. I remember one time we was sitting in Fayetteville having a conversation like, I should do a podcast. I'm like, I really want to. It's one of them things, kind of like the book thing, right? Eventually it comes.
Yeah.
It comes.
It'll come.
But the other reason is I think I was having a few conversations with my sisters and just people. And in talking to them, I recognized the therapeutic aspect of just having genuine, vulnerable, honest conversations. The things that come from that is like a release. It's the things that come from that is being understood. And it just being heard, right?
No judgment.
No judgment. And so the things that when you're trying to find a good therapist, and the therapist, you feel like they're not listening to you, you feel like you're not heard, it's like, no, I can go talk to a brick wall. That's the case, bro. I ain't gotta talk to you.
Exactly.
And so having a good therapist is important. It's definitely don't settle just because if you gotta pop around, it's all right. They know what it is. This is a business. We're just not the one for each other. And that's just how it is. And I think therapy for me in this year too has been great. My therapist, I met her last year, and like I tell her name's Kobe Campbell, and she's phenomenal. And I think we relate in a lot of ways because we have similar backgrounds. And then it's just like having a conversation with your sister, or just, but it's real professional though.
Right.
And it's she understands, and it's okay. And I think the second thing is I can learn things from her. So she kind of gives you these homework assignments, or she teaches me things as we're talking. I'm like, yo, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
And so I have it, and I can take it, and I can start looking at things from that perspective. So I think a good therapist helps you shift your perspective, but also makes you feel heard. And so that is important. And I think one thing I'm starting to see more from black men, but just more black people just in general, just embrace therapy and recognize that we've looked at it for so long within our culture as this thing of, yo, you crazy. If you go into therapy, you must be psycho or something.
Yeah.
I'm just a human being living in a traumatized experience. Life in itself is a big ball of trauma. And so it's like we all need somebody to talk to and process this.
I mean, dude, it's not even just society. It's just the government, period, bro. Like, me working in the field that I work in, right? Is you just gotta be careful what you say, what you do. Like, it's almost if you have to lie.
Wear a mask.
You have to wear a mask because if I don't wear a mask and I'm vulnerable, then I'm out of a job.
Right.
Which is, it's not that I can't do my job. It's the fact that people look at it as, oh, something's wrong with you, you're crazy, and you got issues.
So having those outlets outside of that to actually just helps you to show back up and do what you got to do.
I think also, like, within our culture, there's been, like, just pray about, like, you can have church and therapy too. Like, they're not mutually, right. So, like, I think that's something that our generation is, trying to push and work through because,
mental health is real. Like, I didn't recognize I struggled with anxiety until last year. Yeah. And it's like everybody has different forms of it, right? Some people can project it and you see it in them.
Right.
But me, I'm an internalizer. So like, disassociation, we was talking about that yesterday, disassociation, all that, I'm just in here thinking all these different thoughts in my head of like, and on the surface, he looks calm. But inside, I'm like SpongeBob, like throwing papers everywhere. Freaking out. Yeah. And just trying to figure out what's real. Just learning to lean into it. All these different things and different aspects.
That's real.
It's real, bro. That mental health aspect is something that has challenged me in this year. Even having depressive moments to like, all right, coming up out of those moments, having very joyous moments to like anxious moments. It's just so many different emotions, but like understanding how to regulate it now. And like, I think we are definitely a lot more woke in our generation when it comes to mental health. Like, hey, take care of your mind, man.
Yeah, I mean, because people think that they got to go through the most extreme thing, right?
Yeah,
to have PTSD.
Okay, speak on that.
I mean, therapy, anxiety, blah blah blah, right? All these different things. You don't have to have this huge traumatic experience. It can be something like it can be something simple, right? And it can trigger something in you, and then you got chemical imbalances and the whole nine. So it's like I always truly want people to know, like, bro, you don't have to go to war, to have a traumatic experience in your life that you need to work through.
Thank you for saying that.
It can be something so small. You could have had a cat or a dog when you were a little kid, and guess what? That's been in you all these years, and that's been that one thing that's been bothering you all these years, and now it's starting to show up. Right?
Yes, bro. Thank you for saying that.
It's
Trauma doesn't always have to be this thing where somebody got killed or somebody got assaulted or something like that. It can literally be something small.
Something so small.
And I'll say, like, one of the reasons why I decided to go ahead and find a therapist was because it's actually like two of the happiest days of my life having children, but they were also like super traumatic. And so like now, when I was in that postpartum phase, I wasn't really trying to process any of that. I'm like, I got a newborn.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. So I didn't process any of that then. But now moving forward, I'm like, I need to kind of address, because now it's manifesting in other ways. And, moving forward, I don't want it to, to continue. So, so yeah, I mean, it can even be, like you said, it doesn't have to be something that's, this huge monumental event, but
it's crazy how it shows back up, like, because I think we get in the habit of just suppressing things for so long, but it's crazy to be the smallest thing that bring it up, like,
because it's how we were brought up, right? I mean, even in that book, Cry Like a Man, right? I mean, one things I learned in that, and one thing I'm trying to work with Junior, I want to toughen him up, but I also got to realize, like, let him work through his emotions, right? Let him cry. It's okay for him to cry. It's okay for me to cry, right? So I mean, we were taught that, stop that crying. Stop that crying. You know what I'm saying? Toughen up.
To be soft.
Right? But now it's like, man, those little things that happen, those, you know, those small little traumatic experiences that happened over and over again within my life, right? They crept up, right? And you like, where is this all coming from? And it's just hitting you, you know, so
it's hitting you side of the head, bro.
hitting you upside the head,
funny,
man.
It's so funny how those things will show back up and make you realize you think it's a person or a thing or an event that triggered you, but really that just reminds you of something that you didn't address from your childhood.
Exactly.
It's like, darn, I gotta do the work of forgiveness. Maybe that's what I need to do. I gotta do the work of healing this abandonment issue. I gotta do the work of healing whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
it's not overnight.
No, it's not overnight, man. But
it's work.
It's work.
And there's no instant, like, you know, there's no instant gratification. Like, okay, I'm good. I'm like, you know, I don't need it.
It's ongoing.
Yeah.
It's always ongoing. That's exactly what I've learned, and I'm growing, and I'm realizing 2020 definitely for my mental is definitely sitting with yourself, journaling, and helping me to figure some things out. You know, this is why you are still stuck on this.
Yeah.
Let's move forward, but we gotta address it. So
see, you the way you approaching it is amazing, man. Not everybody has that talent to sit there or the self-discipline, right? I look at it as self-discipline, seeing what you're doing, the journal and the podcast and the whole nine. Like, I mean, you're doing this, right? No one's forcing you to do this, and a lot of people, some people just don't have it in them to do that, right? And some people put their mental health in the background and then won't stay in the forefront,
for sure,
right? So I commend you for doing what you're doing, because that takes a lot of discipline, that takes a lot of will, a lot of want to, you know, to actually put in that work, put in that effort.
The mind can be a scary place. The mind can be a very scary place. And when you're sitting in your room because you can't distract yourself with entertainment. It's like, all right.
Man,
right? Let's sit with it.
Man,
let's sit with it.
That is real, brother.
Yeah, it's a part of who I am. So, like, all right, this is the last question. All right, this could be a 2-hour long conversation. I swear, because there's so much I want to ask much more.
Yeah.
But that's just, I think, before I ask the last one, I think it's just the beauty of this whole trip. It's just like enjoying conversations. Like I was telling y'all before this, how the mantra, I guess, that's been coming to me as I end this year is let things come to you. So like feeling like, oh, I need to have this conversation on the second night that I'm here. Like in my anxious planning mind, that's where I need to have do. And it's gonna be perfect. But it just didn't work out that way. And like I think what it has allowed us to have like generic and just genuine conversations throughout my whole entire time here. And what it has boiled up to is a great conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah, no, of course.
And it's like, because we, just get to talking.
Yeah.
Really just being in the moment versus over planning. So with that said, my last question is that big one. All right. Last question. All right. Last question though, right? Last question. All right. So imagine we are in an auditorium that fits 7.8 billion people, which is the population of the entire world. 7.8 billion people. And they have come to hear Josh Covington speak as an individual. And they've come to hear Hilery Covington speak as an individual. All right. Now, what you have to do is give these people some advice, a word of encouragement, or some wise nugget that will help them go back into their communities and be a change agent in some way, shape, or form. What are you saying? You got like 30 seconds to a minute to tell them. What are you going to tell them?
Ooh, you want to go first with me?
All right.
Okay.
I'll go first.
You got this, boo.
All right. Seeing as how there has been a total lack of this year,
Talk to me.
I think I would just leave the people with having empathy and like putting yourself in other people's shoes.
Okay.
Because that's really the only way we can kind of overcome so many of the different things that we're facing. Like everyone has a different perspective, everyone has different experiences in life, but you have to get to a place where you're at least willing to hear the other person out and like hear what they're saying, not just like wait to hurry up and respond. Like, okay, hurry up and say what you're gonna say so I can like pause, hear what they're saying, understand where they're coming from, so that, you know, we can have a meaningful conversation and hopefully, you know, resolution or whatever it needs to be. But
Yes.
I guess I would just say, you know, through, you know, COVID and the election and just everything that's been taking place, I would say we really have to work to be more empathetic and to not feel like our answer is the right answer. And,
Right.
you know, that's what I would.
And if it was so easy, everybody would do it, right?
Yep.
And
That's
we already
beautiful.
know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Just pull yourself up by the bootstrap thing. That stuff gotta stop. But that's a whole nother
It's hard to
conversation.
pull yourself up with your bootstraps if you ain't got no
You got
boots.
no
boots.
You out here barefoot. How you expect somebody to
Listen,
pull
this is
themselves
a
up?
whole nother. We're gonna have to have a part two.
Right, that's a whole part two. Yes, sir.
Well, so shoot, since she hit on the empathy
Yeah.
part, one of my favorite quotes from J. Cole is, "Even when it's dark out, the sun is shining somewhere."
Yeah.
And that's been, you know, with me throughout my entire, you know,
Yeah.
majority of my life. So I would tell people who are struggling right now, understand that this will pass.
Thank you.
This will pass. What God has for you is for you, right? And if it's not meant for you, then guess what? God said it's not meant for you. He has something better in store. So just because something may not work out the way you want it to, just take a deep breath, all right, and meditate, right? And you know, God is going to show you what He has for you. He's going to reveal it. He's going to hit you like a brick wall, and you're just going to be in awe. And I mean, God works in, you know, mysterious ways. He works on His time, not our time. So
That's the truth.
So
That's true.
yeah, that's big. People who are struggling, who are, you know, sad, depressed, or you know, may not be happy about certain circumstances. Even when it's dark out, the sun is shining somewhere. Just give it a minute. The sun is gonna come right back around to you.
That's beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something. Like, you ever been on y'all been on planes?
Yeah.
All right, so you ever been on a plane? It can be cloudy as crap outside on the ground.
Yeah.
As soon as you get above them clouds.
Yeah, man.
Andy Mineo got a song. He says it's like, when I get above those clouds.
Yeah.
It's the truth, though. As soon as you get above those clouds,
Yeah.
the sun is always out. The
Yeah.
sun is always out.
Yeah.
Even on cloudy days, but we just can't see it because
Yeah.
where we at.
Where we at right now? Yo. Everybody's journey is different, man.
Everybody's journey is different, and the journey prepares you for the destination.
Yo.
The journey prepares you for the destination. So we gotta appreciate the journey or trust the process.
Right.
Appreciate the journey because we can get so far looking like, yeah, man, that's where I want to be. I'm not there yet. Dang, because you're not there yet,
Yeah.
you start thinking like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Discouraged.
Yeah.
That's not what God wants. God wants you to be content where you are now. So when He
Yeah.
does bless you with the bigger things or the things that you've been looking for, you know how to handle yourself, man. You
And
know what
all
I'm
of
saying?
it, he uses this journey to prepare us. That's
To
what it
prepare
is. He's
us,
teaching
man.
us along the way.
Yeah.
He's
And then
teaching us.
instead of like feeling like, you know, you're just taking L after L after L,
Yeah.
like,
And God's
You
not
know,
hearing you.
right, like,
Right.
you know, it's hard, but like using that, turning that perspective into like, I'm not losing, I either win or I learn. And so this is like a learning.
You know, I learned.
Yep.
Not yet.
Yep,
It's not my
God's
time.
just saying, not
Not
yet.
yet.
It's
coming.
coming. Or I learned. That's it.
That's beautiful, man.
That's beautiful. I appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate
Appreciate
you,
you.
brother.
This is a great conversation, and
Yeah, man.
it's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
Get so. Let's go. Nah, for real. Thank you all for listening to another episode of Wisdom in the Room podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Gibson, and it's the Covingtons. Thank you. Love y'all. Appreciate you. Until next time.
Love you too, brother. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
No,